Okay, let's see. Wait for the people to come in. Hello, 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 hello. Everybody's coming in. Hello. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm here in Burbank with my padrino, my godfather in Santeria. And I'm out here visiting him and doing some work. And we wanted to come on today because I'm always sharing so much of his wisdom and so much of his information with everybody. And so I thought I'd take the opportunity to allow him to come on and, share some wisdom with us in this time. Is so necessary with the current uprising, with a lot of, African American people, black people coming back into their power. And this is a practice, Santeria Ifa has changed my life as a woman of color. And as a part of my purpose of bringing people back to their roots, this has been a person who honors it dearly, lives his life, and has helped change my life. And I wanted to come on and share some of that with you guys today. And so, Padrino, I wanted to ask you, with the current climate and everything that's happening, yesterday we had Juneteenth. Why do you feel it's so important for black people especially to remember these practices, remember these ancient ways of their life? Why do you think that's important?
Well, before anything, I want to say good afternoon to all of you, and to thank my goddaughter, Tatiana Oronke, the trap witch, to invite me to do this live video with her. Yes, is it true? Yesterday was Juneteenth celebration of emancipation, but at the same time, a remembrance of a massacre done 99 years ago in Tulsa, Oklahoma, when today Donald Trump is doing a rally for his right-winger people. And it is true, the Afro-Americans lost track of the origins. Most Afro-Americans cannot trace back the lineage more than probably 4 or 5 generations at the most. Don't realizing the origins and the background of the people who brought them to be who you are to be today. And as your ancestors, they come out of Africa. Many of them Yorubas, from the West Africa regions of Nigeria, people who came from Congo, people who came from Benin, from Togo. And this is the people who brought their traditions, their own belief. And when they arrived to the United States of America, at the difference of the slaves, they arrived to Cuba, Brazil, or the Caribbean, and Haiti became the Catholic Church, who in many ways still allowed them to remember or practice some of their original traditions. The people who came running of Europe, the original pilgrims who came to America as runner of the persecutions of religions in Europe, they became persecuted themselves. And then the future generations brought the slaves here and forced them, wiped out of their minds everything about their own religion to impose the white man's religion. They didn't allow you to use their original names. They give them the name of the master. They didn't allow to eat the original foods. They have to start eating whatever their masters ate. They didn't allow to wear their colors, traditional colors. They didn't allow it to listen to the original music, the drummings that they knew and loved in Africa. But as time went by, all of those things became part of the American society too. And the music became jazz, and the food in the 60s became soul food, and the colors, today we see it in the kids and the fashions of Nike and Guess all over the place with the colors of Africa. It became popular. And this is created a breach, and it created a damage in the black Afro-American society. And it became detached from the origins. And when the fruit is detached from the root, it cannot be so sweet. And it's not we try to convert Afro-Americans back to the original religion or preach it into you or proselytize it, but at least for you to learn the Afro-Americans have their own beliefs. Some of the original beliefs in the planets, because Africans were the first people to inhabit this planet. Thereafter, they knew how to begin to worship nature, and they represented as orishas, the wind, the fire, the earth, the water, the oceans, the rivers, the mountains, the volcanoes, the vegetation. And if we would have maintained that, the planet will be much better, because they were very in tune and respecting the planet and the surroundings. That was lost. And a lot of the Afro-Americans today don't know how go back to begin this travel through the tradition. But they should learn it as part of your heritage, as much as Juneteenth, as part of your heritage, as part of your responsibility to honor your ancestors, the ones who suffer for you, so you can be who you are today.
And do you think that slavery played into that disconnect from spirit and nature? Because so many of us are disconnected from our spirit, and to me, the true way to enslave someone is to disconnect them and break their spirit.
It's true. It became a disconnection because the white men enforced that disconnection. They didn't allow them to manifest. But then, when religions like Southern Baptist or other parts of the Afro-American religion began to evolve in Christianity, many of the times the spirit connected. And we didn't allow it to say there was a connection with the ancestor. We began to call it the Holy Spirit. But the connection was there and never was lost. It manifested with a different name and a different acceptance, but it still was ancestor Egum, the ancestors who were connected and is still connected in Christian churches with different members of that church. And when they come through a member, they call it the Holy Spirit. Yeah, it is holy and it is a spirit, because it's the spirit of the ancestors coming through them.
Ashe. What do you think is important right now with, the racial climate, with the pandemic, with everything? What do you think is really important for people to be meditating on right now? And, especially you're talking about what's going on later today, with the Donald Trump. I think very strongly it's a ritual that's happening, that's trying to take place. And I pray that there's peace. But, what do you think is important for everybody for the last 6 months of this year? And what should we be meditating on? What should we be doing that's good for our spirit and for people who are looking to get closer back to spirit again?
Well, at the end of last year and the beginning of this year, a spirit announced that many people will die. And this was coming. It was announced. We knew it. And it will be with us, not like Donald Trump thinks that this will be over by the end of summer. Or it will be a vaccine at the end of the year and a cure and all of that. It won't happen. It will go through 2021 in different levels with different situations getting worse and better, but it will be through 2021. Uh, this rally that is being done today is a rally like the ones done in 1931 by Hitler. It's not much different, and just to bring up that group of people who follows him fanatically. What is the responsibility of the Afro Americans? Trying to keep things calm. We still should march. We still should protest, but no looting, no manifesting anger in that sense, because anger creates anger and reaction. Every action creates a reaction. And our religion is cause and effect. So we should be concentrated and ask for peace, healing, and peace. I think 2020 will be a year marking history in the pages of history, the year of the pandemic. It's already part of history. And it will be the ones who perish during the pandemic and the survivors of the pandemic. But it also will be in the book of history about what happened to Mr. Floyd and when it's happened to other blacks who are being killed by the police. It will be changes in that. It's a beginning of changes. People are beginning to talk at different levels in government even. Not necessarily the people with Trump, but a lot of senators are beginning and a lot of congressmen are beginning, and a lot of mayors in different cities are beginning to have changes. And what is our responsibility of people who believe in our traditions? To connect with the spirit, to connect with the Orishas, to us to bring a blanket of peace and all of this and understanding. We have to stop thinking of races. The black race, the Latino race, the white race. It's only one race. It's human race. Races are for animals, with dogs, with different breeds. We are not animals, we're humans. We all are humans. It's only one race, human race. We have to stop thinking in those terms. We have to start living in tribes. The blacks on one side, the whites on one side. When I went to Georgia to do some initiations in Georgia with Tatiana, even with my godson Travis and everything, and I went out to a restaurant in beautiful Atlanta, and all the blacks were sitting in one side of the restaurant and all the whites were sitting on the other side of the restaurant. I think the problem is mutual. It's not just whites with the blacks, but sometimes it's also blacks with the whites. We are one people. Let's interact. And especially if we becoming under the umbrella of the original traditions. And our religion is not different who are the members. We all followers of the Orishas. We all are Orishas, followers of the Orishas, all Orishas, priests and priestesses of the Orishas, male, female, black, white, Chinese, straight, gay. To God doesn't matter. We all His children. We all the children of the Creator. And He is not sitting in judgment. We judge our own selves. That's why we have a conscience. We know when we do right. We know when we do wrong. Let's stop in judgment, punishment, or reward. We only reward ourselves when we do right things. We only punish ourselves when we do it.
So I want to go to a question that someone had, and they're having a conversation in the comments. So, in the past couple years, as Ifa and Santeria has become very mainstream, we've seen an epidemic of Babalawos out of Nigeria soliciting people through direct messaging. And a lot of people are talking about in the comments right now solicitation from Babalawos, especially out of Nigeria, coming to people, knocking at people's doors, soliciting in direct messages. Oh, the ancestors have sent me. This is a message for you, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of like a cold script call that you get from a telemarketer. What information can you share with people about how we operate and what to look out for so that they're able to protect themselves and also be led to the correct people?
Okay, let me explain something. Originally, the Africans didn't want this religion to get out of Africa. Second, they never wanted to share this religion with anybody who wouldn't be black, an African. The slave diaspora, they brought the religion into Cuba, into Brazil, into Haiti, Dominican Republic, the Caribbean, some of Central America, is the one who kept this religion alive. This religion is known in the world, not because the Africans, but because the Cubans, who were forced to emigrate the island and took with them their beliefs, and they took with them Santeria all over the world. Now, the Africans wanted to come to harvest all the work that the Cubans done all over the world, bring with them this religion. I've been in Nigeria with the second most powerful Babalao in Nigeria called Popola, second only to Wande Abimbola. And Abimbola recognized Popola as one of the most knowledgeable Babalaos that exist, and I live in his home. Beware of Nigerians. Beware of solicitation, religion solicitations from Nigerians. Beware with the messages that they send you saying, oh, I seen this, or I received, you need to do this, and I can do Ifa in here in Nigeria for you, and send you the orishas from here and do that. Stop it. This is a religion from mouth to ears, from eyes to see. Don't do it through the mail. Don't do it through the phone. Don't send money to Nigeria or you will lose it. And lose twice. Lose because you lose your money, lose because you lose in your faith for the things that they promoting from Nigeria. It is plenty good Babalaos and Olorisas already in America that you can reach. There are states who have more than others. California, Florida, New York has more, South Carolina, now Georgia, more than other states. But still, rich people in this country, people who is respected, check it before you contact them, and do it here. Also, please choose which path you want to follow. If you want to follow Santeria, follow Orisa worship. If you want to follow Ifa, follow Ifa worship. If you want to follow Vodum, follow Vodum worship. If you want to follow Mama Wata, follow Mama Wata worship. Stop mixing and matching, because you will end up in a salad of confusion. follow one lineage. And that lineage is the one that you have to learn about it and follow and practice. This is not Harry Potter. People is not getting a magic wand to practice magic. The Orishas are not genies who grant wishes. And we are not magicians who can fix everything. We are a spiritual Orisha worshippers. And that's the way that you have to go.
And it's important to know that, because I think with the Babalaos and the DM and the solicitation, it reminds me of like back in the day, you know, like the psychic hotlines that used to be in the 90s. People want an instant fix. And I think there's a big misconception, especially with this trending and spiritual Twitter, spiritual Instagram, like you said, very young-minded, immature people coming into it thinking that everything is going to be instant. You know, you met me in person in 2017 after I watched your documentary, and we've been working together for almost 4 years now. And even after 4 years, I'm still a baby in this practice, and I'm still learning. What is important to know for people to know about how this is not overnight and not instant, and why is that important?
Okay. This coming Monday, the 22nd of June, I will be 45 years in this religion. And the 27th of this month, I will be turning 74 years of age. And a lot of people in my videos in Facebook and Spanish and Instagram and English call me master. And I always says, no, please, 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 no. I'm a student. I'm not a master. Let me tell you with the words of Orunmila. It will take 400 lives of 400 years, each life, 16,000 years minimum, to begin to scratch Ifa and the knowledge of Ifa or Orisa. We never will end knowing. We're only students. It's a very good Santero Cuban in Venezuela called Carlos Cortez, a child of Elegua, friend of mine. And he said one thing that I adopted for myself. I change everything that I know for what I still have to learn and know. We will never know it all. We have to walk. The African Congo says Tao, Tao, one step in the front of the other. The one that walks, it takes a little bit longer, but it gets there. The one who runs, falls, breaks a leg, and never gets there.
And that's beautiful, because one of the things that stuck with me when we went to Cuba and I did Orula was that the Babalawo said is that's why we should never envy one another, because sometimes we have to understand that some of our own fruit will take more seasons than another person's, and some people have more steps to take and are at different levels. And I think that's what's important for everybody to understand, that although we are a collective, we're on an individual path. And that's why as well too, learning what your individual path is as you're walking this, because you know people are congregating online, and I always say that especially with these things, people are looking for a sense of belonging. They feel rejected, they feel misfit. I feel like that's why a lot of our elays are like a bunch of misfits coming to play family together, because we're all looking for that sense of belonging to something. But that's why it creates a codependency in the community of people sharing misinformation. And then also too, I want to bring up what you told me, and I remember you told me in June 2018, you told me to remember my covenants, because you know my Trap Witch brand was growing. I was growing on Instagram, growing in popularity, but I was kind of losing my path, getting caught up in that, and the reasoning why I came to it. So can you explain why it's important to have covenant protection with some of these spirits, and why you can't just do what you want?
Well, even Harry Potter went 5 movies to school to become a wizard. The practice of these religions without a covenant, meaning without a group of protection, a belonging, is very dangerous because you never know where it can come through. When you assume there is a beautiful message, spirits who we call or describe as buruku, dark spirits, not because their skin color, but because their spiritual sense of action being negative, will never tell you that they are negative. They will pretend. They are pretenders. They are tricksters. And you have to be careful. Only under supervision you will be able to begin to learn and practice. This is a religion of apprenticeship. You have to learn it next to an elder who will guide you and protect you. Also, I want to advise you, if they say to you that they can tell you who is the guardian angel through a reading in the phone, they're lying. It can be done readings in the phone, but no guardian angels, no aligbatori, not to determine who is the Orisha who guides you. Now, the other thing is this. The Orisha doesn't choose you. You choose the Orisha before you came to earth, when your consciousness, your Ori, went looking for an Orisa to come with you to earth to guide you and protect you. Thereafter, many people will come to you and say, oh, you're a child of Chango, or you're a child of Ochu.
Remember when I thought I was Oya?
Right. We just did the guardian angel of Roland, the boyfriend of Tatiana. And they say they thought they could have been Ogun or Batala, and end up being a child of Elegua. So that reading has to be done with a Babalao when they do a Hanoforula, or with an Olorisa doing the reading with the Dilogun of Elegua. It's 2 ways to do it. Most people will say, the only way is with Orumila. I could tell you the story is a little bit longer. But originally in Cuba, there weren't Babalaos. In Brazil, there weren't Babalaos till 1980. And they already did thousands of crownings before the Babalaos arrived. And it's been done with the Dilogun of Elegua. But you have to be present for that. Readings can be done over the telephone and just the way we do in this video, but no guardian angels. They cannot do it from Nigeria. So don't send no money to nobody to do your guardian angel over the phone, because that is not the correct or the proper way to do it. And you have to do this through apprenticeship. You have to have an elder to guide you. And the initiations are done in person. I can't send you elects through the mail. I can send you warriors through the mail. This is not Amazon of religions. This is hand-on, cause and effect. You have to be present. Then there are the people who have issues with the sacrifice of animals. I don't believe in hypocrisy. If the people still eat chickens, fish, pork, beef, I don't believe that they don't want to see a sacrifice just because we sacrifice an animal. It's an intricate part of our religion. And to receive orishas, you have to be present.
And with that being said, with the humanization of the orishas, because people want to say, oh, my personality is like this, so I'm an Ochun or I'm a Chango or blah blah blah, right? I want to bring up too because Oshun's a very popular girl, and everybody wants to be a daughter of Oshun. I know personally my journey with Oshun. I've come to realize she doesn't want much. She doesn't want the oranges or the honey or the this. She wants the transformation. So what do you think? Like, let's say with Oshun, what's the biggest misconception around Oshun and how to serve? And if you're truly a child of this Orisha, what's something that people should really know about walking, like let's say with Oshun as your guardian angel?
Well, one of their biggest misconceptions, they don't even know the meaning of the word Oshun. And the word Oshun means flowing, just like the river flows, just like the blood in our system flows. Oshun likes everything that flows, that moves naturally. Oshun is an irumole, an spirituality of a tremendous power. And it was the last one to come to earth. And the reason that she came to earth is because the 16 kings, the 16 mages, could not perform all the orders of Olodumare to do on earth, that they couldn't fulfill it. And they went back to heaven to complain they could not fulfill the orders. And Olodumare told them, because you forgot to bring somebody very powerful, important, and that was Oshun. And when Oshun came to earth, everything began to flow. The rivers began to have the water began to provide for animals, plants, and humans. Our bodies is made 75% of water. So Oshun and Yemaya are the two connectors. The rivers ends up in the oceans. They are two sisters, older and younger, of a powerful lineage, of a tremendous use. Oshun is very sweet. It's hard with the daughters. She's easier with the male children, but really hard with her daughters, and very demanding sometimes with the daughters. Do never promise to Oshun anything that you don't plan to fulfill, because she will never forget that, and she will come back to haunt you 20 years from now and say, you still owe me. Oshun is very giving. Oshun brought for the first time honey to the planet. The only natural thing, the bacteria cannot live in it. The original antibiotic that we have is honey. It still is. Oshun brought the sense of love, motherhood. She's the mother of the Ibejis. She's the mother of Ildewu. She's the real one who brought life with her. But Oshun is also very strict and demands respect. And a lot of people wants to be Oshun just like Beyonce because it's very flowing, very flamboyant, very beautiful. But she's all the contrary. Her colors are not yellow originally, it's white. The reason why the color of yellow on her clothing is because she only had one set of dress, and she kept washing it and washing and washing it, the river and oxidized and became yellow. But she was pure. She was humble. She still is pure and humble. She's the patron of Cuba. She's the patron of Mexico. She's an Orisha who is a high-ranking member of the Yami Shorongas, the mother of the night. Mine is Ibukole, speaks of the vulture that flew all the way to heaven to ask for water for the rest of the Orishas. Oshun always sacrifice, and the children of Oshun sometimes turn to be a little bit snobbish and arrogant, and that goes against what Oshun is. And Oshun ends up biting their asses for that arrogance and snobbishness. But that's typical of Oshun. Oshun likes everything that is beautiful and everything that is elegant, because Oshun is a very pretty Orisha and very sweet Orisha. But you don't want to see Oshun angry, because when Oshun is angry, she never forgets. And Oshun is one of the few Orishas who I've seen that truly is capable to punish a child when it disobeys. I don't believe in punishment by the Orishas, but I've seen it in the case of Oshun. And you don't want Oshun to be angry. So be always respectful with Oshun, be humble with Oshun, be patient, be sweet, and Oshun will give you everything that you ever desire, because Oshun is a giver. But when Oshun is angry, you won't like the reaction. So don't bring her to that level, because when she reaches that level, she doesn't turn around.
One thing that you brought up that I wanted to touch on in that comment was she loves everything beautiful and elegant.
Yes.
Can you emphasize on how that's more as a personality trait as opposed to wearing gold and dressing nice? No.
I didn't mean it by gold. I didn't mean it by the outfits. I didn't mean it by elegance and bringing wealth and all kinds. No. All the wealth is in us. To be a good human being, to be humble, to be given. And that's what Ochun is, to flow, to live and then live, acceptance, to help. That's the beauty and elegance of Ochun. Not by us giving in gold or rich things or rich handkerchiefs and crowns and feathers and things like that. Ochun, it's only like all the rest of the rishas, it's stones. And the stones don't need anything. All the other luxuries we are on is us, and it's ego and vanity. That's have to do nothing with the Orisha.
Ashe. And so that brings me to how I see very much online, even in the Orisha community, I tend to see that people like to bring up the unevolved versions of the Orisha to justify continuing to live in bad behavior. It's like, when people read a horoscope sign and they say, oh, well, Cancers or Aquarius or Scorpios are like that, so I don't need to change. That's just how we are. So you see people creating memes, creating dialogues around the Orisha that, okay, this is the bad behavior that they had, so it condones that I should stay that way. How do you feel about that?
Well, let me tell you, I'm a child of Obatala. And my Obatala avatar is called Ayaguna. And Ayaguna is the one who controls the knives, is a warrior. I was for so many years that way. I was hot temper, I was impatient, I was reactive, I was vindictive. If anybody stepped on me, I would do witchery. And one day Obatala says to me, stop. Don't emulate all the things that I done wrong. Emulate what I done right. Be a peacemaker. Be a giver, not a taker. Be somebody who brings goodness to humanity. Stop this an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, where everybody would be without eyes and without teeth. So, yes, the Orishas done something wrong. And because they done it, they don't want us to repeat it. What we're supposed to do is fix whatever they done wrong in ourselves. And then we will be closer to who they are today. Don't humanize the Orishas. They don't need to be human. They have human life at one time. But it wasn't really the Irumole who became human. It was a human who has characteristics similar to the Irumole in the beginning of time. Shango is an example. The word Shango means problems. Somebody who was problems in his head. And Shango is very popular in Nigeria. As it is Ogun, as it is Oshun, in Obotala. But we don't have to repeat what they done wrong. We have to be the good of the Orisha. They testing us. We cannot test the Orishas. They are Orishas already. They testing us, but whether most people don't know. If we do the correct thing and we fulfill our destiny, one day we can become ancestral Orishas. So that should be our goal. And the Order of the Dilagun 9.5 says, if you don't learn to live in this world, you will learn in the next. But somewhere we will have to learn. So why waste our life and not learn now when they still give us the opportunity to learn? And they give them through Orisha study, if I study, the ways to practice and learn correctly. Don't use this as a weapon. Use it as a tool to build,
Gotcha.
not as a weapon to destroy.
And that's something so important because I see people, and I'm guilty of that too. When I first came, people weaponizing the religion, because a lot of people, I think, come to this because they've been hurt, they've been mishandled by people in their life. They want that sense of feeling of empowerment. And I find that the true empowerment is learning how to elevate without being revengeful. And, at your front door, you have that picture. And I remember before I crowned, it said, living well is the best revenge. And the video that you had that I found of you, the document that said, if even someone throws negativity at your face and you just catch it and throw it back, it was their ball. So letting things bounce off of you.
Correct.
And the more that you evolve in this, you build a bigger etheric boundary of protection around you, because when you're walking in your light, you don't need to focus and send bad energy to anyone.
That's correct. And I learned it in my years as Santero and Espiritista and Nepalero even. At the beginning in my practice in Mayombe, I would wake up at midnight and start doing witchcraft till 6 o'clock in the morning. I have 7 cauldrons in my house. I barely go to say hello to them anymore. Not because I don't love them and respect them, because I still do and work with them, but not in the sense of what I did originally. I only use them to heal and to help people and to protect people. I stopped weaponizing, like Tatiana's saying, the cauldrons or the orishas. Yes, there are things that can be done, but I stopped using it. The fact that they exist doesn't mean they have to use them. And when I learned not to have to use them is when I became a true religious person. A Santero is a collector of stones. I don't want to be a collector of stones. Otherwise, I will be a geologist, probably, and begin to collect the stones. I'm a religious person. And because I'm a religious person and I believe that those stones are alive, I have to live well by them and live well by you. And then I will be a religious man. Otherwise, I will be just a collector of stones and somebody who knows some magic. And that's not what the religion is all about.
I like to compare it to, like someone who likes to walk around with a weapon on their hip to show it off, kind of like ego, as opposed to a concealed weapon. Nobody has to know what you have, as long as what you have it for in your defense, and if so that you need it. So I think that's really important, because especially, we're losing a bit of the sacredness of the religion at times, because people want to expose, and the way that we've kept it protected and the potency of it up over time was to, conceal the secrets and pass them down through the rites of passage. And that's why so many of us have to learn to, crawl before we walk. And I tell people, all the time is even the journey to becoming a Santero, you don't see a lot of these things until you've gone through the rites of passage.
When I was younger, and I was really violent in many ways, not violent to do wrong to people, but violent in my temperament. I scream a lot and carry on. Now that I'm older and wiser, I guess, I hope, I'm much calmer. Now I don't have to ask the Orishas for things. They just come in naturally because the Orishas begin to know my changes. So they begin to give more freely to me. So I'm not so concerned now like I was at the beginning, asking, give me this, give me this, give me that. Now the things begin to happen naturally. And even when I need, during the quarantine, we all went through difficulties economically. And the people just begin to help me through Instagram because my dog, without asking. So the Orishas provide. Why? Because I'm changing, because I'm becoming a better human being. And a lot of beings are walking out there who stop being humans. We're only beings. And the religion want not to humanize the Orishas, to humanize ourselves. So I want to become a better human being who will be in more on touch and in touch with the Orishas, and everything will begin to flow as Oshun would like things to happen to all of us.
Sure. So I want to ask you a personal question for myself before we wrap it up, before it cuts us off. But as your student, as your goddaughter, you've been with me almost 4 years now, and I want to be vulnerable and showing people that I'm still learning. What do you think is the biggest change you've seen in me since when you first met me and I came to this and now, so I can share this with them that I wasn't just someone overnight?
Well, when you came the first time to me, I was very impressed because you're a big girl, tall, massive, very impressive with your presence. But now you're becoming a giant. And a giant who communicated through Instagram as the Trap Witch with so many followers and people. A giant in the sense that I discovering of myself too. People who say, I coming into this religion in Sweden, in Brazil, in Peru, in Chile, because I saw your videos. So we becoming, you and I, keys who beginning to open doors, spiritual doors, for a lot of people out there. And that is an incredible thing. We don't need to preach. We only need to teach. And by doing that, we becoming the key to open the door. Doesn't mean that we will be the godparents or not. That's not important. It's important that we introduce you. And it's an obligation for Afro-Americans to learn what you originally came from, who your ancestors were, how they were before they were slaves,
Sure.
that they belong to a very civilized societies. The Yorubas work iron and copper before, and bronze, before the Europeans even began to use it. That they already had a religion codified and organized. The blacks in Africa created the ones and zeros, the binary combination that is used in the computers and is the base of the universe. So it's your obligation to your ancestors to learn your roots. In the 1970s was a movie called Roots on TV, a series. And the main character called Kinta Kunte was forced to become Toby. But he never forgot to be Kinta Kunte, because is that what kept him alive through slavery. It wasn't Toby, it was Kinta Kunte. And that is what you have to learn. That's why when we become initiated, we get a new African name, Oronke Baba Funke, to honor those ancestors. The only reason why I'm white, and I didn't say that, my spirit said it, is because my mother pulled me out of the oven too early, so I'm not fully cooked, because inside I'm still black, because according to him, I was his child in a previous incarnation. And that's why I'm in this religion. And as a white man, I'm amazed that I have to teach this religion to Afro-Americans, when it should be the other way around. Should be the Afro-Americans who be teaching this religion to me. But either way, what improves the color is not the importance. It's the heart that we have for the religion. And when we have Okokan heart for the religion, we will walk and learn.
Well, thank you. I feel like I haven't been doing my YouTubes or that many videos, but I feel like this was the ultimate new moon in Cancer gift to everybody, because you're a Cancer yourself.
I am.
His Ocha birthday is in a few days, so
Yes.
like to Batala that's been on your head for many years, and happy birthday to you.
Thank
and
you.
I feel like this new moon, the summer solstice that's beginning, is going to be a blessing and a transition to many of us. I hope that this has helped you guys. If there's anything that you guys are wanting to learn more about, you can look up his Instagram at C Gilperin, CGU
ELPERIN.
And he has his Botanica in Los Angeles.
El
If you're
Pongo
wanting
Manuel.
to get a proper in-person guardian angel reading, a reading. I also saw on here Afi Maye, spiritual doctor Afi. We met yesterday. Also spiritual bath, to another trustworthy Santero in LA. Please, if you're walking to this path, do it the right way. Take your time to do it with right people so you don't have to course correct. I appreciate you coming on with me.
My pleasure. My honor.
And we'll be trying to go again live again soon as we teach him to come on live with me, through the Instagram. But sending blessings to you all, as with everything going on, the climate, please remain calm. Don't become overly emotional, angry, because he said we have to keep marching, and I feel he meant that more than just physically. In our spirits, we have to continue to protest and show up every day in our lives. Every day that you show up in your life and your purpose and in your rational mind is a protest. It's a march, and we're in the marathon. This is not a sprint, and we're coming into a new paradigm shift. So if you're someone who feels called to these practices that are calling you home to better your life, to increase your ashe, take your time, because this is going to be for the long run, and we are becoming the new ancestors, the new elders. So we have to act that way long before we become that. So I appreciate you being in my life to guide me when I was stubborn and immature in my ego, because I gave him a hard time when I first started. But I appreciate you deeply. Please follow him, and thank you again for being in my life and blessing everybody today.
That's it.
Have a good day.
Afimaya was there?
Uh-huh.
Oh.